Hey, I'm Josh from Vacuums R Us Sewing 2 in Colorado, and today we're going to be servicing a Dyson stick vac. This is specifically a V8. You'll find this video is applicable if you have a V7 as well. They're very similar machines. There's some slight nuance. And to some degree a V6. We kind of get into some significant differences with V6. Conceptually, it's the same. Once we get up into the V11, V10, those machines, they're very different machines. Probably not a very helpful video for you. With the exception of servicing the head. So this machine was checked in by a customer for what we call a full service. Full service it covers cleaning, when appropriate, oiling some bearings, or cleaning and oiling, greasing some bearings. Typically, the reason that people bring these in is the machine is pulsing. You do a YouTube search. I don't even know if this video is even going to rank on YouTube, because there's thousands of videos of people saying, "Does your Dyson stick vac go choo 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 choo?" So that's usually why people bring them in. And there's a couple things that cause that. Bad filters, right? So you wash your filter all the time. This filter right here, you know the filter. You're like, I wash it all the time. I'm sure it's just fine. Well, they get clogged up regardless, and they actually lose airflow. And the reason the machines pulse when that happens is the air that flows through the machine is what cools the motor. So the machine is designed to start pulsing when it loses airflow to protect the motor. And when the filter starts to go bad, because it's been washed too many times, it's too old, it lowers the airflow and the machine starts to pulse. So the suggestion on all those videos is buy our Dyson stick vac filter and it'll solve your problem. And sometimes it does, like half the time it does, but the other half of the time it's not just that your filter is shot, it's also that it's a bagless vacuum cleaner. And bagless vacuum cleaners, contrary to the lies told on late night infomercials, lose airflow over time. Fundamentally, they're going to, because the cyclone itself gets coated with debris. Often the head, also where the narrow areas inside the head, they'll also get coated with debris, which lowers the airflow, and then the machine will start to pulse. So sometimes you replace the filter and it keeps pulsing. Today on this machine during this service, we're not replacing the filter. The customer indicated that they recently replaced their filters. Don't lie to your vacuum tech. This is not anything even like a new filter. We know what they look like. We see tens of thousands of filters. So not a new filter, but that's fine. They don't want to replace their filters today. Also not a new filter. Newer, they've replaced it at some point, but not new. But anyway, so we're going to do the full service on the machine. So there's kind of two different parts to a full service. One of them's relatively easy. So the canister itself, we're very simply going to empty the canister out. And then we're going to go ahead and remove the canister from the body. So yeah, we're going to do that here. So there's a little clip down here, right here, that will remove the canister from the body. Yeah, super easy, see? Just pops right off. There we go. So we have this removed from the body. I'm going to check it for obstructions. There's a flap in here that's like a reverse flap that sometimes will get stuck. It's wide open, so that's fine. There's a little bit of debris on there, which is not impeding the performance of the machine. We'll probably blow that out. So the next step is I'm going to remove the cyclone from the motor housing, and that is done. There's these little buttons right here on either side, and it just actually slides up. And now the cyclone has been removed from the motor housing. So these two pieces we're going to take outside with the filters out, and we're going to blow them out with an air compressor. Very important to do that with this cyclone. One of these days I'll get a video posted of actually doing that. I don't know if you can really see inside there. We don't have great lighting, but there's a ton of debris inside there. Can also be demonstrated by just kind of doing a little bit of that. I hit it much harder, it's going to be a cloud of dust in here. So that's super important. There's a lot of allergens and possibly mold and fungus inside there, and it's also impeding the airflow. We're going to do the same thing with the motor. You can see right there, there's some finer dust that the cyclone and filter wasn't able to pick up that blew directly into the motor. So when we blow this motor out, we're actually going to blow a bunch of debris out of the back of it. Very fine dust that's coating the motor. That causes the motor to retain heat a little bit more. It's not going to impede airflow, but it will cause the motor to run a little bit warmer. So that's the first step. We're gonna deal with those. I'll set these aside for now, and we'll get to that momentarily. I'm going to clean this up real quick. But we're going to do the power head. right now. And servicing the power head is super, super, super important and should be done regularly. Now, most people know that they can take their brush out of these. If you need a large flathead, a coin is even better, actually. Go. And then the brush will pop right out. I'll set that aside. So we can see, let me grab my pick here. We have a buildup of stuff inside here. And this is not that bad. This customer's machine hasn't seen a lot of hours. I don't know, maybe they've had it in here for service before and it's been relatively well maintained. But oftentimes when we pop this section of the machine open, there is just an absolute like bird's nest of stuff inside there. This is typically as far as we go inside of the power head during service. We want to get that stuff out, and that's typically our main concern is this area right here. And it's usually, like I said, it's usually a lot worse. You can continue from here. I really don't recommend it. I have before. If it's absolutely necessary, you can take the screws out and you can start splitting this. The issue is there's obviously electrical wires that go from here through the head into this motor. They're very small. They take a bunch of tight turns. Getting it back together without pinching those wires is very challenging. So if we can avoid that, I do. Typically, there's not enough debris in there to even warrant that. What we do now is I use isopropyl alcohol. I'm using 70 today because that's all we can get. The pandemic has done weird stuff to the alcohol supply. I prefer like a 90 because it evaporates faster. It has less water in it, so it's less likely to damage my electronics. But you know, you gotta work with what you got. So I'm spraying the inside of the clear housing with the isopropyl. And then I'm gonna kind of roll this rag around inside there to clean up the inside of that. You tend to get a buildup of, particularly if you have pets. Pets have, you know, they have grease, like oils, natural oils that are in their fur to help waterproof their fur and protect their fur and their skin and everything. And that ends up on the floor and that ends up in the vacuum cleaner. And that's kind of where you get that darker layer inside the clear housing. And it's nice to be able to get that out because once it starts building up, it kind of like it sticks, everything sticks to it, right? And it gets real bad real fast. That can also develop an odor over time. That's where the pet dander odor tends to come from, is that sort of a buildup. I'm gonna go ahead and vacuum the dust out of that over there. So I like to clear that out, and that looks good externally. I'm gonna obviously get rid of the hair right here that's wrapped around that brush roll. Often these brush rolls are worn out, and we should look at replacing them. This one is not, oddly. There's also dirt inside here. There's dust. I'm gonna go ahead so you can also take that out and take an air compressor to it as well, but that's just one more trip outside. The end cap right here has a lot of dust in it too. So this brush I'm using is called a chip brush. You find it in your painting section. They're usually about $1, $1.50, something like that. They're a great cleaning tool for vacuum cleaners. So now there's some, again, there's a little bit of wet pickup. Maybe it's some natural oils from pet fur that's on this. We're gonna go ahead and spray that with alcohol. Rub it. And that'll make that, I'll get rid of all that buildup as well. Getting rid of all that dust that was inside the brush roll and inside the brush roll end cap is super important because that dust ultimately can work its way into the bearing. There's a bearing back here, which is not pleasant. I'm gonna put a little bit of grease in here, which will be around the bearing. And will theoretically, if hair works its way in there in the future, that grease will grease the hair and prevent the brush roller from locking up. This is not something they do at the factory. The bearings are sealed, but this is something we do during service because I think it can save a brush lockup in the future if they have pets. So go ahead and put the brush roller back in. And sounds good. Then we have, see some debris that will build up inside here. I'm going to vacuum that out real quick. Done. And then I have some paint on here. If you've watched my other videos, you know the denatured alcohol is about to come out. Denatured alcohol can be found in the paint section in a hardware store. It's kind of like a paint thinner or a paint stripper. It's also sold as camping fuel, but I don't know what kind of camp stove uses it. But what it does, you see how easily it took off those paint chips. Vacuums tend to get paint scuffs on them from being smacked against the wall, and it will pull those paint scuffs right off. The other thing it does, however, is it leaves a white residue behind. So because it leaves a white residue behind, I have an all-purpose cleaner here. It's like 8 parts water, 1 part cleaning solution. I think it's Mr. Clean or Pine Sol or whatever it is. It's no purpose general cleaner. There's a little piece of paint I missed there. And that will wipe off the white film that's left over from the denatured alcohol dissolving the paint into kind of that white film. And that's pretty. It's pretty. All right, so I'm going to take the canister outside. I'm going to blow that out. We'll put it back together again, and that'll be pretty much it on the service. I'm not going to film putting the canister back together. You get the point. It just snaps back together. Take it outside, blow it out with an air compressor. If you don't have an air compressor, you could buy canned air. It's like $8, I guess, and you could use that. It takes a lot of air to clean those things out, though. So without an air compressor, I don't know. We do this service obviously in store. I think we bill an hour and a half for the service. That covers the QA time out front, the check-in time, all that stuff. I did it pretty quick, but I've been doing this forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. So, but we typically bill about an hour and a half for the full service, knock everything out front to back. That's pretty typical. Most of your local vacuum shops will do that. If you don't want to mess with all of this yourself, just bring it in, and most local vac shops will do about the same exact thing that I just showed.